everyone, welcome to AFCON Daily on United and Everything Football. We've brought you 3 episodes already. This is episode 4 and it's a special one. Today we are not previewing a group. We are going to keep the Black Stars in focus. I have a special guest with me here to discuss the Black Stars and everything that we've been doing so far in terms of our preparations, as well as our chances going into this Africa Cup of Nations. So please do well to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if this is your first time joining us here on AFCON Daily on our YouTube channel. Please remember to hit the notification bell as well. It's very, very important to us. We are going for a quick break. When we come back, I'll introduce my guests and we'll get into the show. Stay with us. All right, so we are back from our break and I have a very special guest with me here, a man who has covered about 8 AFCONs already. Covered major tournaments, a huge journalist. If I am to mention some of the things that he's been doing, if you talk about the football value chain, I'm sure he's covered almost every part of the value chain already. No man than Godfred Akoto Boafo. A man we all looked up to, some of us when we were growing up. Godfred.
Now I sound old, man.
I hope you are doing fine, Godfred.
But I am well, and it's an awesome pleasure to be on your podcast finally. It's amazing. I listen to it regularly.
That's great. That's a huge endorsement for us, actually.
Yes. So keep doing the good work.
Thank you very much.
Amazing interviews.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We are discussing the AFCON and Black Stars in focus. I'm over a little over 3 decades. I've known the Black Stars. And am I wrong to say that this is the first time Ghanaians have shown, actually believe that this Black Stars is going and are not going to do anything at the World Cup, at the AFCON?
Well, I think we've had certain moments in the past decade or so going to certain AFCONs, but we have come out looking well. I particularly remember that AFCON we went to in Equatorial Guinea. A lot of people did not feel we had prepared well enough to do well, but we ended up doing really well in that AFCON. But again, this is not one of those moments, to be honest with you. The team has lacked confidence on the pitch. The fans have lost confidence in the team, and it's been pretty obvious. So I'm not really surprised by some of the sentiments we are getting from fans in the build-up who say, let them just go. We don't think we'll do anything. And also, I guess also a bit born out of not wanting to be too hopeful, because Ghanaians are very hopeful. Like, we are eternal optimists when it comes to the Black Stars, but everybody's like, yeah, team Nyade. You know, I guess that keeps us on our toes, but it just shows again where we are currently as a national football team, very low on confidence.
What do you make of the squad that Coach Chris Houghton has put out? In terms of the quality, the experience, and whether it has any chance of making any sort of impact at this year's AFCON?
Well, I think that he put together a reasonably good team, to be honest with you. There aren't too many positions that we could have made arguments about. The problem I've had with Houghton's tenure has not been the quality of players available. It's been the lack of consistency in building teams over the years, which has come to affect him. And something that we don't take notice of. We tend to think that, our poor performances are born out of the moment. Our poor performances have been born out of our inability to plan properly the growth of the national team over the past decade or so, which brings us to this point where we've ended up also with a coach who is surprisingly unaware of the profiles of his players and how to put a team on the park, which has turned out to be the bane of Chris Houghton. So he ends up putting players on the park, but mismatches them when it comes to their profiles completely. And the outcome has been some of the worst football the Black Stars has produced. We are used to the results. What we are not normally used to is the kind of performances this team churns out. And Ghanaians watch it and they are like, what exactly is going on? This is a team that lacks the identity of Ghana, although there are a lot of Ghanaians, so-called, on the pitch. So I think that has been the one headache with Chris Houghton. So he's put together, I look at the squad composition, 80% of the squad have made his last 3 or 4 call-ups.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a team that he's familiar with.
Yes.
But even against Namibia recently, the way he put the team on the park was reminiscent of what we have seen the entire year of Chris Houghton. So what does it look like? A backline that does not have progressive ball players.
Yes.
That's when Salisu came in. He has problems with his laterals, his left back and his right back are not very consistent. He has a very good right back in Dennis Odoi, but Dennis Odoi's profile is that of a very defensive right back. He's not your balanced right back. The biggest problem he's failed to solve is how to get his midfield linking up with his defense and his attack. He has built a midfield that is completely devoid of any creativity, unable to progress the ball beyond a certain distance, which makes it very easy to defend against the Black Stars, thereby making them unable to keep the ball. Then he has a front line also where he struggles to place them in their best positions. So we've had Iñaki struggling, again, not through his own fault, but because one, he's been misprofiled initially, and he has a midfield that is one of the worst creator of chances I have seen in international football. It all makes for pretty horrible watching when you are a Ghana fan. So they go to the AFCON with this squad, and all we can say is hope.
Clearly, it looks as if he's put together a team, like you rightly said, that he clearly has very little knowledge of the profiles and all of that. A lot of people have made mention of the midfield combination. I mean, you look at the game we played against Namibia yesterday, and you had a very rigid Baba Idrisu in there, and a totally different profile in Elisha Owusu. Clearly, as you clearly said, there isn't a ball progressor, someone who is able to pick the ball, run a certain distance, and able to make things happen. I mean, if you are close to Chris, what exactly are you going to tell him with regards to the makeup of his midfield?
Again, it's either the players don't have confidence in what they are being told to do, or they've been told to do it in a certain way, or again, it's the misprofiling of players, and I'll explain. So I take somebody like Baba Idrisu. I watched Baba Idrisu before he came to the national. I used to watch Baba Idrisu in Spain in the second tier. I remember when I mentioned Baba Idrisu for the first time on Twitter a couple of years back, nobody in Ghana knew who Baba Idrisu was. He was playing in the lower tier then. Baba Idrisu, I say this, the style of Spanish football is such that you do not become a La Liga regular for 4 or 5 years if you don't know how to play football. It's basics. It's not. He doesn't play in Italy. He doesn't play in one of those leagues where you have to be rigid. You must have technical ability to play as a holding midfielder in Spain. Spanish midfielders are not about the physical aspect of their game. So obviously, Baba Idrisu is not there for his excess physicality. He did not start at Mallorca and is starting at Almeria because he's the most powerful person in the world. If you've seen him, his physique is not the best. He's very slight. So I asked myself, I watch Baba Idrisu. He passes the ball very well when he plays in Spain. So how is it that he comes to wear the jersey of Ghana and suddenly does not look like he knows how to play football? He's not known for the kind of passes that break lines. Of course, I admit that. But he has decent passing. So it's about who complements him. We have Salis. Salis is completely a defensive midfielder. If you look at Salis's profile in France, and in France with Lens, and the nature of his passing, he's not in the team to pass, to progress the ball in that direction. He's there. He's what I call literally a wall. So everybody bounces the ball off him so that the team can do what it wants to do when they have the ball. And then without the ball, he wins the ball back at a very high rate. Okay. That is the value he has. His consistency with keeping the rhythm of the team in that way. Yeah. So we have these two that seem to be the favorite double pivot in midfield. Yeah. Now, the conundrum that Houghton seems not to be able to solve is how to get those two to link up with their wide players in terms of how they move, and also how they link up with their forward players, particularly the person who plays the number 10. Yeah. Because if you're playing a double pivot, then you must have a number 10 whose passing ability is of the highest level. Yeah. We've not had that. Yeah. Kudus is the player we normally prefer to play in that position, but we end up sometimes switching him wide. Mm-hmm. Jordan occupies the other row, and then we have Iñaki or Semenyo, whichever one is available. Yeah. So we end up having a team where we have only one genuine player with an ability to hold the ball and break the line with a pass from deep or from progressing the ball or in tight situations. It then becomes very easy as an opponent to draw a strategy and say, we will press this player, we will close the passing channels available to this player, which normally again happens to be Kudus. Yeah. Once that happens, the Ghana team is unable to play, which is what we have seen over the past 1 year. So what Houghton needs to be able to do is find out who complements who best. Now, with the current squad that he has, we don't have a party, obviously. Everybody is pointing at Majid Ashimeru as the obvious choice, of course. Yeah. Noise was made to put Richmond Lamptey in there because he fits that profile. I say, why not? If he's there, because his profile clearly is that. As to whether he is able to do it at the level required, which is the AFCON, is another question. But we are speaking based on profiles here. His profile indicates that he's the kind of player who should be able to partner a Salis or a Baba Idrisu to be able to allow us to do that, okay, and make the team a bit more fluent. Apart from that, we don't have too many options in that position. Andrea, you can normally occupy that position, but we know that he is not on the best of form these days. Like I said, Kudus can occupy that position, but that again takes him out from his most effective position these days, which seems to be out wide and closer to the goal. So it's an interesting conundrum for Chris Houghton. He seems to prefer solidity in the spine of his team as compared to a certain level of unpredictability that kind of player will provide. So we've seen the irregular action that Majid Ashimeru, although he's been injured for a while as well. But even when he had been fit and was in good form, a lot of managers did not seem to favor his playing style, although he seemed to be a player whose profile was required based on the current set of players that we have. Now, if you look at the profile of, just to draw a stark contrast between the profile of players we have and the profiles of some of our most talented midfields. So if you look at that combo we had Muntari. We had Muntari, Kweja Samoa, Antoniana at a certain point. All of them were brilliant ball progressors. Kweja Samoa can progress the ball either at pace or with his passing. Angola 2010, a lot of the damage was done.
The pass he gives to Asamoah Gyan to finish.
Exactly. Okay, he did not need to, he gave us that. Antoniana, although your proper number 6, could play like a number 10. So he had that in his game. Sule Muntari was known for the beauty of his passing. Everybody knew Sule Muntari and his passing. He could switch the game like nobody's business. Now you take that profile and then you just try and move the sequence up a bit. We've had midfielders that have had Mubarak Wakaso, Andre Ayew again at a certain point in his career. Sule Muntari at a certain point. Kweja Samoa at a certain point as well in his career. And then you bring that to this third phase that we have of Baba Idrisu, Salis. This was supposed to be Partey. Okay. And you can immediately see why the first 2 batches I mentioned were a lot more fluent, because everybody in that midfield was basically a hybrid sort of player. I've moved from having that kind of midfield to having a midfield of just pure specialists
Mm-hmm.
who are unable to give us that.
Yeah.
And it makes the team, it puts the team in a very difficult position and makes the team pretty predictable, which is a headache for me going to an AFCON. You don't want to be too predictable going into an AFCON.
Yeah. Well, that's a very, very in-depth analysis of our midfield. It's generated a lot of talking points actually on social media, especially on X or formerly Twitter, where people have been talking about the makeup of our midfield. But Godfred, we'll be getting a lot more into that in 2 minutes. We've exceeded our time on AFCON Daily. In 2 minutes,
okay,
where do you see Team Ghana in the AFCON?
You should not get me to do this, Kwame. This is not fair.
You know something? This afternoon I was on GH1 and I was asked that question. I had to find a way around it. I said today when I come, I'm going to put it to Godfred. Where do you see Team Ghana?
I would do the emotional me says Ghana wins the AFCON all the time. Emotional me says Ghana wins the AFCON all the time. The professional in me, and just to provide that analysis for you, I think the best we can do in this tournament is a quarterfinal appearance. The best we can do in this tournament is a quarterfinal appearance. I will be very surprised, albeit pleasantly, if we make it beyond the quarterfinals.
Well, we'll be back. You'll be back on AFCON Daily. I mean, after our games, I'll try and put you on so we do a very good analysis of the Ghana games. Thank you very much, Godfred. Thank you to you for joining us on AFCON Daily today. We are so grateful to you. Remember to hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can enjoy the content we put out for you. We are grateful to you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good time.